done a panel with these two amazing people. So this is new for me.
Yeah. Me too. Because the last time I was there, you weren't there.
The last time I was there, you weren't there.
I know. That's why
Wait, the last time you were there, I was not there.
That's why this is the first time.
So why don't we introduce ourselves and let them know a little bit about what we do and what we've done and whatnot.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Ladies first?
Yes.
Really?
Beautiful ladies first.
No, in that case.
I'm gonna.
Mrs. Swayze, please start.
2022, let's do it. So my name is Tiffany Vollmer, and I am known for the voice of the original Gangster Bulma, OG in the house, from 1998 to 2008 with Funimation. And I am also a mommy. Hi, Ella. That's my little girl right there.
Oh.
Yeah. And a wife. Pretty good one, I hope.
Oh, I thought you were indicating that was your wife, and it's like, well, I think that's your husband. Yes.
I'm also a writer, director, producer. I'm on both sides of the screen, microphone, stage, all the things. I am the current author and department chair at Media Tech Institute, which is a recording arts school in Farmers Branch, and we also have the Acting for Media program, which I have written and am the department chair for, and Master Makeup Artistry. So you want to get a career and do all this stuff? Come see me. We'll talk about it. And you can go to college at the same time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. Yay.
Hi, Zach.
David, you want to go?
Sure, if it doesn't matter. My name is David Kay, and I've had some first anime convention I've been to in many, many, many years. My career started in Vancouver. The very first cartoon I did was, the first anime I did was Sung Tendo in Ranma 1/2. That was a long time ago. Nobiki no Kani, anyway. Then first prelay was G.I. Joe, the Great American Heroes, cast as General Hawk back in the day. And it wasn't until I became a U.S. citizen that I walked out of the LA Convention Center a number of years ago and said, now I can say Great American Hero. I was kind of embarrassed because G.I.'s Geek Animation done in Canada. I was like, so that started like, oh, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And then Exo Squad came along and more anime. And then Inuyasha and cast me as Shishomaru and that. And then, the Dragon Ball Z was in that time I was in Vancouver, and I came down to the U.S. in 2007. Beast Wars, Megatron, Transformers, Optimus Prime, Aeroshem, the Eternal movie.
No big deal. It's not a big deal at all.
No, it's just, but it's just, look, I was telling these folks about, I'm just amazed that they, had me around this industry, and it's been 40 years of fun, and every day is a new day, and so I'm just grateful to be anywhere near it, honest to God, and even at 57, I'm like, they want to hire, are you sure they want to hire me? Because there's other people, out there, and they still keep giving me gigs, and they keep pulling me back in.
Yeah.
So I love it. So take care.
I love these guys. That's all we came for. Just some David Kay.
Yep, that's it. Bye, David.
My name is John Swayze, and I play a host of folks, but my big role in DBZ is Dodoria, and I also play All for One in My Hero, Gendo in Evangelion, the real one, not the Netflix one. Although Ray Chase is here, he is the Gendo on Netflix. I just was talking to him, so yeah, go check him out. Lord Death from Soul Eater, Undertaker from Black Butler, and like these guys have been doing this for 25 plus years, and I live in Houston. I work as a full-time director at Sentai Filmworks, and I do work for Sentai and Funimation, Crunchyroll, whatever they're called now, and Okratron, and very, very proud of the fact that between Houston and Dallas, Texas is the undisputed heavyweight champion of anime when it comes to dubbing and subtitling. Give yourself a big hand. One time somebody asked me, they go, this was a couple years ago, they're like, what do you think the state of anime is right now? I'm like, well, when I started doing this back in '97, Golden Boy was my very first show. And there were like 1 or 2 conventions a month somewhere. Now there's 6 and 7 a week everywhere. There's 3. There's one in here. There's one in Allen, Texas, which is about an hour away. And there's another one going on in another town not far from here. It was maybe it's a one-dayer. But I'm just like, dude, this stuff is everywhere. I'll tell you a great story. The other day, my wife and I were at a store called At Home. Have you ever heard of At Home? It's home goods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're getting some pots for planting and stuff like that, and pillows for
It
the
is
out-
springtime.
Yes,
It's
that's right.
apropos for the season, yeah.
And we're at the checkout, and my wife, there's this guy behind the counter checking us out, and my wife just out of nowhere goes, "You like anime?" And I was like, "Dina, really?" And she goes, "Well, check this out." She goes, "What?" He's wearing his lanyard had the At-Home badge and and it had an anime, like a convention thing, and she recognized it.
Oh, yeah.
So he was just wearing it for bling, right?
I mean.
And he goes,
yes.
"Yeah, I love anime." She goes, "What's your favorite show?" He goes, "One Piece." And she turns to me and she goes, "John, who do you play in One Piece again?" And he goes, "What?" So I play Crocodile. He's like, "What? No! God!"
It is the best.
He's flipping out.
superpower.
There are people now lining up in line behind us. He's like calling for assistance, like, "I need help at register 2, please." He's like, "This is gonna be a minute, lady." And then she goes, "Do you like My Hero?" And he goes, "Oh my God, I love My Hero Academia." And she goes, "John, who do you play in that again?" I said, "I'm All for One." And he goes, "What?" And he had already rung everything up, and it was like $202. And he's looking at me, and he's like, "Oh my God, 180." He got a 20% discount. Yes.
Okay.
And then so I did pictures.
And now talk about the career.
Yeah. And if you're in a restaurant, just ask your waiter, "Do you like anime?"
You know what? The last time I bought something at Home Goods was for my husband and mine's 6th wedding anniversary on April 20th. And I bought him Grateful Dead mugs. That's at
Nice.
Home Goods, yeah. At the at-home store.
I got this for my midlife crisis. I got this tattoo made.
I did for my midlife crisis. She's sitting on the front row.
Wow.
So people buy a sports car, I had a baby.
And they're both permanent. But I'm a huge deadhead. I love the Grateful
Hopefully
Dead.
yours won't grow as fast as mine has.
So I have a big cross. I don't know if you can see, but I have a big cross and then 4 dancing
Care
bears.
Bears.
They're Grateful Dead bears.
Care Bears.
But yeah, everyone's like, "Why do you have Care Bears on your arm?" I'm like, "They're not Care Bears." You're my #1 fan. I love you. I thought about it. If you ever really want to find an extra side hustle, just do stand up for 2nd graders. And just walk in and go, "Hey everybody, my name's John. Today we're going to talk about poopy." Just shoot 20 minutes. Yeah,
He'll
that's
be
it.
you for the rest of the week. Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
John. The famous guy said it, it's okay.
Yeah. Child rearing's hard, man. Do you have kids, Dave?
I do. They're a little older. My son's going up to OSU. He's leaving the house.
Go Cowboys.
Well, yeah, OSU, actually Beavers, Oregon State.
Oh, Oregon. Here you think Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
but no, yeah, he's they got a great baseball team up there, and
Great ball?
a little bit, yeah, and he's. But anyway, he's going off. He's 24, and my daughter's 27. So it's strange because I don't know how they got. All of a sudden time goes
Right,
like that.
right.
And your daughter's like, yeah.
I have
She
a-
was a baby last week.
I have a
Time.
21-year-old
I know.
daughter
Yeah.
and an 18-year-old son, and my 18-year-old son just returned last night from the Galapagos Islands.
Wow.
He went there on a school trip, and while he was down there, he called me up and he said, "Hey, Dad, is it okay if I drink down here?" The drinking age is 18. He's 18. I said, "Hey, if it's okay with the school, I don't care. But don't sneak off and get drunk or something like that. That's a first trip."
Be very
trip home.
upfront about being drunk and honest about it.
Right.
Yes.
So he said, okay.
That's what I
So
do.
a few days later, my wife goes, "Hey, let's call Josh." I'm like, okay. We call him up, and I was thinking I should text him first to let him give him a heads up. And I called him, and he's like,
You're such a good dad.
"Hello?"
My dad would never
"Hello?"
do that.
"Hey, Josh, it's Mom and Dad." "Hi." So we talked for about 30 seconds and said, "All right, listen, buddy, go back with your friends and everything," and we hang up. And my wife goes, "He sounded funny." I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's drinking.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, how?" And I said, "Well, he asked me, could I drink if it's okay with the teacher?" And I told him yes. And my wife goes, "Really? Because I told him no."
Got caught.
Oops. So anyway, so is this a panel about something specific, or are we just going to talk about?
What is the name of this panel? Does anybody know?
At one time.
One time.
Yeah, okay, so this one time on Namek. Remember? I was there. I was there. I got turned into a frog. I got to ribbit. But actually, I do have a great story about that, to be honest with you. I auditioned for Bulma as I was graduating college, and I was on scholarship for acting at the University of North Texas. And I took math my final semester because I knew that if I failed it, I wouldn't be able to pay for school. So I took it my final semester and I failed it, and I ran into Chris Sabat at a bar on Christmas Eve, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, trying to graduate from college. And he goes, "Well, if you're gonna be around for a little while, I'm directing this little show. It's called Dragon Ball Z. It's out in Fort Worth. You should come audition." I was like, okay, cool. And then he pulls out a dubbed version of Xanadu cassette tape that he had in his pocket, because when we met, we sang Xanadu together, and he was like, "This is weird. This must be for you. If you haven't seen Xanadu, please go watch it. Olivia Newton-John can do no wrong." And Gene Kelly's in that movie as well. So I auditioned, and I read for like 7 different voices. And one of them was Dende, who is the famous little Namekian, that little boy voice. And I got called in to do the voice of Bulma. Chris called me like 2 weeks later. He's like, "Is Tiffany Bulma there?" And I'm like, "Huh?" He's like, "Bulma, that's your new character on Dragon Ball Z." And I didn't know anything about the show, right? I was just like, okay, I did a cute little audition, that was fun. And so we started recording actually Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball, right? And so I'm thinking, the planet is exploding, and here I am, this little whiny girl that's like, "Oh, where'd you boys go, you jerks?" And I thought, well, that was a great anime career, because I thought, surely she's not going to live through the planet exploding, right? Like, I thought it was over with. And then, later on, we went into Dragon Ball, and I was like, kind of a big deal, But I really thought Namek exploding was the end of voice acting for 2 people. I'm really glad it didn't work out. Namek, any stories about Namek? Any Namek stories for you? It hits you in the
It's been,
Fuzzy parts.
it's 1998, it's a while. I mean, the big battle happened on Namek, correct?
Yes.
That's when, "My name is Riku, rise of doom." The whole thing. I remember a lot of screaming.
Lots of screaming. That
And,
happens.
yeah, I always get nervous with that. Hearing every screaming in there, it's these days I try not to scream. You learn to scream properly when you're doing
Properly,
anime.
yes.
There's a way to scream. The only thing I said, gosh, it's been a while. It was just, it was the heyday of the ocean and all my friends. Like I haven't seen some of these Canadian clowns for a long time, and it's, you pick up where you left off.
You guys are quite lovely people. by the
It's
way.
it all. We're laughing and carrying on like it would date him. The time didn't go by. It's crazy.
You know Brian Dobson?
Yeah, of course.
So I met
all the
Brian at a
Dobsons.
convention
Yeah.
10 years ago in Toronto.
Yeah.
He and his brother.
Yeah.
And-
Paul, or was it Brian? No, Paul, Brian, and Mike Dobson.
It was Mike.
It was Mike. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, good
but
guy.
when I saw he was here, I mean, I went by his table when I got here Friday, and he was just, hadn't seen each other in 10 years.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit on Facebook or whatever, but yeah, it's the same thing. It's just you pick up right where you live and had a drink.
Such a good time.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys notice it, but it's the voice community is pretty tight, and there's not. I can maybe a handful of people that are like sort of on camera. I can tell you many stories about people who you just don't want to hang around with, but on the voice for some reason. We're all. It's a very wonderful community. I don't know if you guys sort of recognize that we. I haven't met these folks before. It's just the nicest people, and that's just the kind of community it is. I really enjoy that about it. And I was doing some on camera in Vancouver when X-Files was going on. That was a horrible one. But my life was behind here, and those are the people I wanted to hang out with, and still to this day, 20, 30 years later, we're still close friends. So
We're gonna be close friends then.
We are. We're gonna be close friends then. So I have people asking about that. Yes, we all hang out. We still talk. I'm trying to get just between you and I and everybody else who's watching on streaming, whatever. I'm trying to get a hold of Richard. We're trying to get a Inuyasha deal together and do a tour, because I don't know how much he does and that, but he's a riot and a lot of fun. So we're hoping to get that going. I think that'd be fun for you guys.
Get him to come to Texas.
Yeah, I know, right? That'd be fun to do a thing. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it. But yes,
That's awesome.
it's hard to remember what happened back then, but I know some of the quotes and what was going on. But it's again, how I'm here is really crazy.
Well, and they're very fortunate too, because they played lots of different voices, and I played a lot of different voices too. I was girl number 2, or the lady at the shop keeper, or the old lady in the village. So the really well-known characters that you really remember, I played those voices too. But I do a lot of commercial work, So if you know Kroger grocery stores, I was the in-store voice for Kroger for many years.
Oh, it's you?
This Kroger's
That's you?
located right in your neighborhood
Oh my
with a
God.
bigger, better bakery.
I need to drop by your table then, because
My favorite line that I've ever had to say in my entire life is, "Come to our deli for a wider selection of boar's heads, meats, and cheeses." Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Double dog dare you. And I do you might be on hold and being like, "Thank you for calling the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it during this message at any time." I'm that chick. So.
Yeah, when you're a voice actor, a lot of people have this misconception that all we do, for instance, is anime, or all we do is this. And while there are some people that can do that, like
Chris Abbott.
well, but like Seth MacFarlane
I'm gonna
and
play
people
six
that are
movies.
on The Simpsons and major stream,
Oh, you just
stuff.
said Chris wasn't in Major 7.
But we do a lot of different stuff. So yeah, I've done a lot of commercials and whatnot, and but sometimes you do stuff and you're just like, oh my God. But one of the pinnacles of my career, I was so proud of this, because I grew up watching these commercials, and I ended up doing the commercial for Blue Star Ointment. Have you ever heard of Blue Star
Yes,
Ointment?
I have.
It cures ringworm, tetanus, and psoriasis. Get your ringworm, cured with Blue Star Ointment today. It was the cheesiest thing I'd ever done, but I was so thrilled I got to do it. It was like living my childhood as a, I got to do it.
That is adorable.
So, yeah.
I kind of want to go get some now. Can I still get it?
Yeah, I don't
What
know.
is it?
Probably Kroger.
What is it? Look for the little yellow tag.
Yeah.
Kroger, the right store, the right price.
This has nothing to do with anything except we're all parents, and you've got the oldest kids. My oldest is 21.
Yeah.
And when she turned 21, she could legally drink.
Why do all of your stories go revert to driving? Went to the
We're
bar
supposed to
after
talk-
this.
Because you just don't know me well enough.
We're supposed to talk about bourbon, you and I. Somebody told me you were
Oh,
supposed to
yes,
talk about
most
bourbon.
definitely.
I can talk about
I had a
it.
great
I drink
bourbon.
it.
I had a
But
great
I'd
new bourbon
rather
last
drink
night I picked up. But anyway, so my daughter and I, speaking of bourbon, my daughter and I, she's 21, and we were having a little party at our house in Houston, and we were outside on the back deck, and my friend and I were like draining the bottle, and I called my daughter and I said, "Hey, you're on the way here, right?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Could you stop at the liquor store, pick me up a bottle of Jameson's and a bottle of wild," or no, I said, "Could you pick me up some Jameson's and wild turkey?"
Is it Jameson's?
Yes. James. And she goes, "Sure." And I said, "Oh, by the way, your mom also wants limes." Okay, done and done. So about 30, 40 minutes later, she calls me. She goes, "Hey, Dad, I got a problem. I forgot to get the wild turkey." I said, "Oh, well, that's all right. Just did you get the Jameson?" She goes, "Well, yeah, I'm still at the liquor store." It's like, "Well, then get the wild turkey." She goes, "I already left Kroger." "Honey, it's not a deli meat. It's bourbon." She went,
But,
and I was just like, I just wish she would have gone up to the deli manager. "I see you've got oven roasted turkey, free-range turkey, mesquite turkey. I'm looking for your wild turkey." It's that inexperience, and it was like, oh, just my day. But do pick up the wild turkey while you're there. Anyway, sorry, that was a little off, way off topic.
That was fun though.
Yeah.
I like that. I just need to get bourbon conversation going. Anything.
We will. It was a bourbon called, I'll think about it. It was Hickory, Old Hickory, named after Andrew Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You know what? Another reason I like bourbon is you ever seen that moonshiners?
yeah.
Yeah. If you're studying, who's sort of interested in like pursuing voice acting? Anybody thought about it? Some hands up. Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
If you listen to those guys.
All up in there like that, see? You listen to them up in here. And
What did they do? They don't talk like that
up in
now.
there, you
What do you mean by-
Just listen to those voices. Listen to everybody who speaks walking by, and that show Moonshiners especially because that's
Appalachian up in there. You know, it's just.
They like they ain't got no teeth up there.
Yeah.
Don't tell you about my
That's right.
grandfather did the same thing.
And that's how you sort of start to come up with it. But I love that show for that reason, but also, of course, the shine.
Yeah.
Very shy.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about the show or about us or
Bourbon?
Bourbon?
I see the big hand going up in the middle, so it's all you. What would you like to
So
say?
this is for you. Would you do Exo Squad again if they brought it back?
Oh hell yeah.
I'd be bowling again if they brought me back.
Yeah, but no, that's I had it on Laserdisc. I don't know what happened to it. Remember Laserdiscs?
Yeah.
I had a whole series on Laserdiscs, and I'm trying to figure out.
I worked
where-
at a video store, and they were the first ones to
I
carry
love those things.
Yeah,
It was
they were like-
collectible and cool, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was Gordon Hunt directed that. He passed away a few years ago. It's Helen Hunt's father, and
Really?
yeah, he hired me a few times. And he's a legend.
He
But that
worked
was
for Golden Harmony?
for his daughter was Helen Hunt, but he.
Oh, I think you say Gold Harmony.
Oh,
Yeah.
She still is.
But yeah, she's still, yeah, but Gordon was such a great guy. But that was one of his first directed, it was Exo Squad with him. And,
We need that back.
it's a great, it was a great show. Robbie Benson was the lead, right? And it was the weirdest accent I had to do. It was Hallis was German, but it wasn't German. I had to come up with an accent that was a pain in the ass. But that was fun.
Yeah.
Great show. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say because we get, hey, if this came back, would you do it? It's like, oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
heartbeat.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
You mean work?
Yeah.
I'm just curious, so I'm sure that there's roles that you guys have read for and you read the story and you're like, wow, this is gonna be huge, this is a great story, but all weekend we've heard, the voice actors for Dragon Ball say how they never thought they'd
Never
be there
thought.
20 years later. So I'm just curious when you guys talk about Dragon Ball together as a voice actor community, what is it about Dragon Ball that you think made it such a cultural icon?
Good question.
I mean, I think time-wise, it was kind of the beginning of anime in the United States.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was Pokemon, right?
Well, there was Robotech.
That of which we do not speak.
Robotech.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, even Transformers and the things that we watched growing up. But really, when Dragon Ball came into focus, it was the guys in the orange jumpsuits with the white hair that.
But also,
very iconic. You
and
know,
I
the-
found this out not too long ago, because I wondered, you know, why, you know.
Right.
I mean, I grew up on Speed Racer, that was my first.
Oh.
game.
Yes,
You know.
mine too.
And we didn't even know it was anime. It was just like, it just looks different than American animation, but I don't know, whatever. Why is everyone going, you know, I don't know, but that's the way it is. So Robotech was Gold Harmony, that's what I was asking, I thought I heard you say that. There was a guy named Carl Masick, and Carl Masick took 3 animes across 2 others, I can't remember what they are. But anyway, he basically chopped them up and made this show called Robotech. And they released it and it got very popular. Everybody seen Robotech? I mean, you know. So it got very popular. But it got popular with an American audience, not so much with the anime folks. That was a very, very specific genre, you know, and niche back then. And so some people loved it, other people cursed his name for doing it. You ruined the originals, kind of thing. So that did that. Well then, when Dragon Ball came out, it was okay, but it wasn't until, this is what I found out, it wasn't until they got it on television that it exploded.
Yeah,
So-
I think with the thing that was going on with Cartoon Network at the time.
Right,
where they
exactly,
were
Cartoon
having
Network, right,
Adult
right.
Swim, right? And so it was like, and
Ultimate.
I even remember, you know, before Adult Swim, like when I was a kid, always finding that like little alternative channeling of, you know, kind of the cult following things like the Young Ones and, you know, British comedies and things like that. And I think that's what kind of brought the allure on too, was like Adult Swim sounds kind of sexy, right?
Right,
It's like a
that's
little
something I shouldn't be
serious.
watching.
Right.
But I'm going to.
Yeah.
But then
Adults are
David
swimming.
also mentioned, and you worked
Not
at a
wearing
video
the
store, so
clothes, yeah.
you mentioned Laserdisc. Well, you know, back in the day, like when I first started in '97, not to me, not that long ago, but you would get your anime on a VHS tape, and there'd be 3 episodes per tape, and it was $25 for a tape.
I got one penny of that $25.
And you got, but here's the thing, you had to watch a whole season, it was gonna cost you well over $100.
Yeah.
Now, go through Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray, streaming, now for about 10, 15 bucks a month, you can get Tie-Dye, which is Sentai, you can get Funimation Now or whatever, Crunchyroll, and have access to more anime than you could ever watch in 10 lifetimes for $15 a month, which you can also split with somebody. You know what I mean? It's really $5 a month because we've got 3 of us. And so it's amazing how it is
So we're
just
doing this is what you're
exploding.
saying. All right.
Is it the toys too? The toys have a lot to do. And I'm ready, you guys. I mean, toys have a lot to do with it, right? I mean, they're not going to do an anime. The purpose of doing an animated show is it's a
Merch.
commercial for
Yes,
toys.
yes.
We all know that, right?
Right.
But that's also the fun of it, is to get your favorite toy. Like I collected toys. Still have these old. I have Welcome Back Cotter dolls in the box.
No way.
Yeah, I have
Wow.
the original the Migos from Wonder Woman for some reason. I have Punky Brewster in it, but I don't even know why I have them. But I have all this stuff.
Oh.
And so, when you see the show, there's a connection. I don't know. I don't know
I
how that
have a
works.
question
Is
for
that-
you
is that how
guys
it is?
too. Do you guys collect your characters of the
Yeah.
stuff of the work that you've done?
Yeah, because I do because like, oh my God, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it is
look at
kinda
it.
I have the Funko Pops. I've got,
Those are fun.
I've got 4 characters that are Funko. That's
Yeah.
a word, a verb.
It's a verb now, yeah.
We're gonna Funko you.
I wouldn't mind being.
But,
Yeah, I mean, and I do see that there's also a surge in like, hey, we need Tiffany Homer because her 4th pop just came out, you know?
Oh, sure,
That
sure,
happens
sure.
too. Well, so for a long time, I just collected stuff and I was like, well, I don't want to be, you know, my mom is a very Southern woman and she was like, don't talk about yourself so much. much. And I'm like, do you realize I get paid to do that now? Anyway, but I didn't ever want to like be ostentatious and be like, look at me. I'm a Leo. I need to be the center of the attention.
Only do that if you're at home and can get the
Yeah.
discount. That's where you want to
But
go.
you know what happened for me is I have so many fans that do fan art of
Mhm.
my character, and I love that.
Mhm.
Huge fan of the fan art. And so I have a one wall in my dining room that is dedicated to Bulma, and everything on that wall is something that someone has made for me,
Nice.
or
That's cool.
given me
That's
as a
great.
gift.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That makes us feel good, by the way, when if you guys
Yeah.
dropping
Oh,
these
yeah.
pictures back. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
This amazes
Right?
me. I'm like,
I've got 2 prints that you can come by and buy an autograph on. 2 prints that I got because a fan came up and said, "Would you sign this?" And I went, "Dude, that is gorgeous. Where'd you get that?" I made it.
Yeah.
Like, well, can I license it from you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. So I give them some money. They let me have the image. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's, the fact that you all, there's an amazing array, whether you think of yourself this way or not. I can assure you that within this room, there's an amazing array of talent. And you might be sitting next to somebody you have no idea is a brilliant artist, and you might even be that brilliant artist. So yeah, we echo what David just said. We love it when you bring that kind of stuff up. I mean, that's
I
very
was at
touching.
I was at a show in New York once, and I walked past, and the guy was making action figures out of pipe cleaners, right? And he had this beautiful version of Trunks with a sword out of pipe cleaners, right? I mean, that's like pretty neat. And I'm like, oh, okay, so the mom doesn't get any love? Like, what's happening here? Where's Trunks? Where's Bulma? And he goes, not really a fan of Bulma. And I was like, I don't blame you. Yeah, she's kind of whiny. I know. I hate it when she does that. Anyway, so I walked out, and the guy next to him was floored. He was like, "Doosh, doo, doo." And so the next day, he walks up to my booth and hands me a. He stayed up all night and made me a little pipe cleaner version of Bulma.
Did you go like this? I don't want it. Mic drop.
Oh, great! I get to clean all my pipes out now.
That kind of thing has happened to me before, except with my son. I walked into his room one day and I was like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Watching anime on his phone." Really? What are you watching? Soul Eater. It's like, oh, your old man plays Lord Death. He goes, "Yeah, I'm watching the Japanese version." Get out. Yeah, this is my room. I'm like, no, get out of my house.
My husband had never seen Dragon Ball at all before we got married, and then I hadn't toured in like 8 years because I was living in New Orleans and nobody knew who I was or what I did. And so I escaped my past. I ran. I had a an autograph signing at a bookstore over on the North Shore in New Orleans, and we went, and there was his father and stepmother who recently passed, Anna, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, would you look at that?" And they're from New Jersey. They're like, "There's like a line outside all around the building. I wonder who they're here to see." And then they realized that it was me, and he was like, "What the hell is going on? Who are you?" And so now he watches it with my daughter. And where are you guys now on the series, Jared?
Time to wake up.
Did I get turned into chocolate and eaten yet? Why is that funny? It is the only time in DBZ lore though that Bulma dies. And she gets brought right back. Any other questions out there for us? Yes.
We talked a lot about burgers
Justin.
today. Any else smoke?
What?
I don't think you're supposed to smoke dummies. I think you're supposed to chew them.
I will tell you this. This is not
Not the hot one, not
this
the
is
hot
not
one.
something I'm proud of. But one time, back in my young stupid days, I was smoking some pot out of a bong, and I thought, I wonder what would happen if you put Jack Daniels instead of water.
Brilliant. Genius.
So it took 2 years for my eyebrows to come back. That was not a brilliant move.
You know, I have this is just a great story in general, so I'm going to share it with you. I have a friend who, when she was growing up, her parents were hippies, and they used to make pot brownies. And in order to keep the kids from eating it, they just told the kids that they were allergic to peanuts and that those brownies had peanuts in them. So, fast forward 20 years, the brother calls her one night and was like, "Hey man, I'm getting high with Dad. By the way, we're not allergic to peanuts. You need to get peanut butter immediately."
Stop what you're doing and go buy peanut butter.
Now, they forgot to tell them that they weren't really allergic to peanuts. They were just trying to keep the kids from getting high.
Hippies have the best intentions. And at the end of the day, they're just too stoned. That's awesome.
Hi, darling.
Hello. I got a question for Tiffany. Out
Yes.
of all of Boma's hairstyles, which one is your favorite?
Oh, dude, Afro.
Yes!
It's all about the fro, baby. You know, and I do like that because it's funny that she's such a fashionista with like the worst taste in fashion. I mean, you know, designer brand Boma across the chest. But you know, that was when she was like getting her moves on Vegeta. So you know, that was pretty special. She like went to the salon and got her hair did and stuff, you know. And I will say too, the cosplay for that. There was a girl, I don't remember if it was at Kameha-Con, but she cosplayed as the Bulma Afro wig, and it was, when she showed me a picture of it when she got it, and it was long and straight, like down, you know, really long. And she ratted it out and made the most amazing Bulma wig I have ever seen in my entire life. And you know, cosplay like that, that's why I like to MC the cosplay contests every year, is because there's so much creativity and imagination, and we love it when you guys dress up like us. It's super fun with the characters and whatnot, but it's still, and as a makeup artist and a teacher and instructor, I just was blown away by the work of this woman. She made the
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Go here.
What is your favorite character's line you guys like doing the most?
Of any,
Of any of your characters, what was your favorite line that you guys remember the most?
With a wider selection, of course, I
gosh, I mean, I don't know, man.
I've got one, but it's really PG-13, and I don't know if I should say it.
Go for it.
Well,
She'll be
do it.
13 eventually.
okay. So I play Salvador in Borderlands 2.
Yes.
And he's got a moment where he's gunzerkering, and it's this sort of orgasmic experience. And he goes, "It's like having 3 dicks!" So if you come by my table and buy a print, I'll write that on there for you.
I can't follow it. I can't follow
I will
it.
tell you, so in the department of, we love it when you bring things, you know, you make,
Yeah.
take time out of your daily life and make something crafted by your own hands. It means a lot to us. I was at a convention down in Miami. These guys come in. They were from Ohio. They drove all the way down to Miami because that's the convention I was going to be at that they could get to. I guess Columbus didn't work for them that year. But anyway, they drove down, they go, I'm in my autograph line, and they come through and they go, "Hey, we got something for you." And they pull out this, it's a piece of wood about this big, and it's got a wood burn in it that is a character of a guy named Wong that I played in a show called Darker Than Black. And I was like, "Oh, dude, that's fine. I love that character. I love that show. That's very thoughtful of you. Thank you." And they go, "We have something else." And they pull out another wood burn, and it says, "It's like having 3 dicks." And I'm like, my wife's gonna love this. We'll just put it right on the mantle, right here, all to see. So, it ended up in the garage.
My go-to line, I guess, is, yep, it's me. I'm as smart as I am beautiful. I wrote one of my favorites though is my brother was at a baseball game in Iowa. He lives in Iowa, and the umpire had made a bad call, and over the loudspeaker, he heard, "You shark!" And he was like, "Oh, that's my sister." Like, out of nowhere, like they played it over the loudspeaker, like, "You shark!"
Awesome.
That's my sister.
Yeah, good. Anybody else got a question? Oh, did you have one?
I don't.
Sorry, David.
I don't know. Gosh, I mean, the Riku one is fun. Riku, Rhyme of Doom. You'll see me all too soon. You've heard that 40,000 times. The one that kind of kicked it off that changed my life was Commander Rat Trap, what a pleasant surprise. It shall avail you not. No, side guns. And that's Megatron from Beast Wars. Yes.
Yes.
And that was sort of
I
like
like
the
it.
whole. And I remember I talked to somebody who asked me today. The most surreal moment was that we did our first BotCon. It was in Rochester, New York, and everything was full. The stadium of people, and somebody waved the bag. Says, "Mr. K, can you say excellent?" Excellent, yes. No, thank you. And I went, oh, so that's what Eddie Van Halen feels like. I had no idea how big Transformers was. I grew up with Bugs Bunny and all those things, and all that stuff. So yeah, that was sort of what kicked it off. My whole career went, okay, well, I want to stop doing radio and doing all that stuff. I just wanted to
Misogynistic
stunts.
stunts.
Yes, misogynistic stunts.
Yeah.
It's just, he was fun to do, and that started everything, so.
That's awesome.
Anybody?
In the very, very back.
Back over there?
How was the transition from doing Megatron in Force to doing Optimus Prime?
It was a weird one, because I played a lot of villains, and I like it because it's very Shakespearean. It's very debate. Megatron's very, if I do this, this will happen. But if I do that, this maybe, it shall avail you not. No. But when Optimus came along, I was driving through Chinatown. It's Chinatown. Jack, forget about it. He said, that'll
Yeah.
I was driving through Chinatown. It was 2000, when was it? 6. And heading downtown LA, and my agent called and says, "Hey, good news." That's how agents all sound. Hey, good news.
Every single one of them.
And so they want to book you for, trying to go, because I expected, because Sue Blue, I emailed Sue Blue and said, "Hey, here you're casting friends, I'd love to read for it." She goes, "Oh my God, honey, yeah." So I read for Megatron, I read for other characters. I didn't read for Optimus Prime and animated, and they brought me to Cartoon Network, and they read me for characters. Of course, Megatron. I did my thing, and everyone's laughing, and I saw some familiar faces behind the glass, or the meerkats going, And then Sue says, "Hey, honey, could you grab the Optimus sides and go have a look? We're, blah blah blah." I go, "Yeah, okay, sure." So I went out and studied, and somebody else came in, a couple people, and I went back in, and they said, "We're having trouble finding an Optimus," and Tom Hanks was kind of a model, his sort of style of voice, and they wanted. So I said, I don't know, and I started talking, transform and roll out, Bumblebee, and this sort of, I used my voice, but this is basically what it was. And I could see them kind of like talking and laughing, and well, this is encouraging. And then I went away, and I got a call right through Chinatown. They want to book you for the thing, and I expected her to say, so they're going to, Megatron, and she said they want you for Optimus Prime. And I go, my silence. I remember turning on to Temple Avenue, heading up toward Disney Concert Hall. I remember exactly. And I said, So you mean like Megatron? And she goes, no, they want you for Optimus Prime. I said, well, how's that gonna work? And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, oh, never mind. I just realized that, they just give me a role, and I'm like arguing with her. No, I want the other one. So it took a few episodes to get used to the fact that I was, the good guy in all this, and to find the voice. It took kind of 3 or 4 episodes in. Every time Sue Blue would say, "Okay, Megatron," I'd start to stand up. I go, "Oh, that's not me. It's Corey. It's Corey Burton." But it took a bit, but it was so much fun doing that. It was weird being the good guy for once. Is that until that point I played all the other villains. 'Cause I think they are.
But so, and I, like you, David, I play a lot of bad guys.
I got
and
to play Evil Baby once.
Yeah, they're fun, right?
Did you find, that, I mean, was that like, one of those happy mistakes or?
Oh,
happy,
sure.
like, you know what I
never
mean?
know, because that's the thing. You never know. You have to be, when you go in, be prepared for anything, because they're going to read you for different roles. But I wasn't prepared for that, and it was one of those like, oh, so it was a bit of a head slap, but a very happy one, because the people we work with, you know, in that dance, Weird Al Yankovic would show up, and I was used to coming from Vancouver where they said Weird Al Yankovic on a script. It meant that they're going to get somebody who sounds like Weird Al, or somebody who sounds like, you know, Lance Henriksen, who was on my flight coming down. Remember Lance Henriksen, the character actor? He was in on Animated, and I worked beside him. And you go through these people, you realize, oh, that's right, we're here, they live here. And I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that they are here. I walked in, and there's Weird Al looking at me. I go, hey, Weird. I said, weird. It was weird. I said, I mean, I'm sorry. He goes, no, man, that's cool. No, it's all right. You know, you color it you want.
I just wrote a song about that.
It was my introduction to commuting from Vancouver for 10 years to LA, and in 2007 we moved down. And so to work with these people, to me, was like, I kept, again, what am I doing here? You know, but I'm glad I was, and you know, that whole thing happened. It's a long-winded answer to your question, I'm sorry. But that's, yeah, I was flabbergasted as anybody when they call me. You know.
So I have the exact opposite experience of that. This was not even anime, it was a TV show called Friday Night Lights, and I auditioned for this character for a football coach. And it's going to be a recurring character, and I'm very excited about it, you know. And so I go to audition, and I get home, and I get a phone call a couple days later. Okay, you got a call back. I'm like, great. Okay, they're going to reach you for Coach Granger. I was like, Coach Granger? No, I think you mean Coach Hopkins. Now they say Coach Granger. I'm like, well, Coach Granger's the coach that quit, so the new coach can come in. I'm like, but you know, again, you're like, I'm thrilled to be cast, and I ended up getting it, but I'm like, I'm the guy that, you know,
It's canned.
screw you kids, I quit, and I walk off, you know, and then here comes Coach Hopkins, I'm your new coach, you know, and I'll be in the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Amy.
Anybody else? Where are we? I can see.
Yeah, over here.
My question is for Tiffany. I had a chance to ask Monica, but never you. Is there one Chris Sabat moment that is your absolute favorite? And is there one moment that was the most difficult for you to do in the series?
Chris Sabat?
Yes.
What about it?
What's your favorite like Chris Sabat moment? And is there
Bulma moment. You mean like Vegeta and Bulma?
Yes. And was there a Bulma moment that was the most difficult for you?
Sure. I mean, the whole wooing of Vegeta and the whole like, you need a bath. That is my favorite moment. Vegeta, because I'm winning at this point. I don't get to be a Disney princess, but I get to be the princess of all Saiyans. So, and then Bulma, yeah. So I really loved doing the history of Trunks, the movie. Yeah. It was really the most in depth we get with Bulma. We get to see her not as this two-dimensional, but we see her as a mother. We get the more serious side of her. She becomes this really multi-dimensional person as opposed to, you know, the whiny lady that complains all the time, but is super genius and really hot. You know, can't do that all day, every day. But I tried real hard. So I really loved the history of Trunks. John Bergmeyer was my director for that, and I really loved working with him. I felt like he brought some beautiful things out of me as Bulma, more so than a lot of other directors.
We got time for like one, maybe two questions, so we'll get you and then you. So we'll go here first, and then we'll go over here.
This is really more for John and David. It's similar to Tiffany's story. Do y'all have like any fun voice stories out in the wild using your characters for anything fun? Or
You use your powers for evil.
Yeah, that's what he's asking, yeah. Gosh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, for me, in all honesty, and I hope this doesn't sound like a chicken answer, but for me, you know, when you go in and you do it, and this was actually certainly more pre-pandemic, but you go into a studio, you do your stuff, and then you go to another studio and you do your stuff, and then you go over to this studio and you work for an hour over there, and blah, 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 and you just kind of ping-ponging around, and I mean, sometimes I just forget what I've done. I mean, I'm like, I did this character, now I've got to switch gears and do this character, and then I got to switch gears and do this character, and so it's hard to go, that was my most favorite moment. That's a terrible answer, but it's
Yeah, but I mean, I think
it's
that,
the
like,
truth. It's just, you know, sometimes people go, I loved you as blah 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 and such, and I'm like, cool. I didn't even know I was in that.
I always talk about GT that way. You know, like people are like, yeah, GT, and I'm like, you know, anybody have that reoccurring dream, like where you went to college, but you didn't, you're like, you graduated, and you're like, how did I pass that class? I never went.
Yeah.
That class, you have that dream, it's like, crap, I'm supposed to go to that class so I can graduate. I feel like GT was like that for me, like I didn't, like I know I was there, I was under the credits, but I don't remember.
Well, and for
Being on that show.
Dodoria, if it was live action, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
Dodoria's
I got my
there,
answer on that one.
he just doesn't say anything. So as a voice actor, the late Chris Ayers, who you know was Frieza.
R.I.P.
There's a thing for him here somewhere.
Oh, there's a really cool tribute thing out in the
Yes.
hallway. If you haven't
Please
seen
go visit
it,
that.
go check it out. But he would, when he was directing at Sentai, he would call me in, and I'd go in, and you know he was a smoker, and he always carried a giant mug of Coke, and he's like, John, walk with me. And we're walking, and we go sit down. He's like smoking cigarettes, and he goes, so I'm working on this brand new show, and I was watching it the other night, you know, getting my prep ready and everything, and I just saw this one character, and I was like, oh my God! There's only one person that can play that character. Only one that I know of. John Swayze. I was like, well, God, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for bringing me in. Tell me a little bit about him. Well, his name is Soldier B. He doesn't really say much, but he is everywhere in the show. I'm like, well, great, thanks. That's anecdotal, but it just, you know, it's just so I feel like that's Vegeta. You know, he's just always there.
Where were you when you realized you were famous? Like, I mean, you know, like when did it really like, ooh, that's cool? Or I mean, is it
My wife and I were flying over to, when I get invited, I don't know if it's this way with you guys, but when I get invited to a convention in Sulphur, Louisiana, my wife says, have fun. When I get invited to one in Dublin, Ireland, she's like, and here are my bags. So we're flying over to Dublin, Ireland. Neither one of us had ever been to Europe before. We're flying over to Dublin, and on the plane, we're having our cocktail, and I said, listen, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm just gonna be blunt. But in the world of anime, I'm kind of a big deal. And she's like, you're what? I said, well, I'm just saying the voice actors are like celebrities. I mean, that's why we've been invited to Dublin, Ireland. She's like, you know, whatever. Ding, ding, I'm gonna need another drink, you know. And
we are going to the bar after this?
yeah,
right?
absolutely. So anyway, we land in Dublin, we get our luggage, we go through customs, and we come out in the waiting area, and there's like 5 people with signs. Welcome to Ireland, we love you, John Swayze. And my wife's like, oh my God. And I said, I told you, honey. And she goes, okay, whatever. So we get in the car. Well, later that day, we're on a train, and our liaison is this girl named Sinead, and she's helping us make sure we get to where we're going and all this sort of thing. And she looks at my wife and she goes, you're so lucky. And goes, what are you talking about? Goes, well, you're married to John Swayze. My wife goes, so? Well, I mean, you get to be with him all the time, you get to laugh with him, joke with him, you get to sleep with him. And my wife goes, Well, he's no big deal. So I went from being famous, not to famous, to having 3 days. All right, we got one last question here.
This one's kind of a fun one. If you could swap places with any of your colleagues for one day, what role do you think that you would have the most fun with? So, like, for example, if Tiffany was trying to do her best Sabbath Piccolo impression or something like that.
Probably not that one. You know, I really thought I wanted to be Chi-Chi when I auditioned because I was doing deduction math. Like, well, okay, I don't know anything about the show, but I know that Goku's like the main guy, and this is his wife. So chances are, if I get to be her, I get a lot of screen time, right? And then I just ended up on Namek and thought that my wife's career was over. But I really loved Launch.
Yeah.
And I thought she would be super fun to play because she just gets to switch it on and off, and you know, I want to be bipolar. Don't we all?
Do you have a?
On an anime show.
Just any role.
Any role? Geez, I don't know. I mean, I worked on some of the Star Wars franchises, you know, but there's a lot of stuff that I would like to have done.
You want to be Boba Fett too, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, just one of those weird characters. I don't know. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. But yeah, anything in Star Wars is. I collect all those toys too. So.
I had dinner with Chewbacca and R2D2.
Oh, I went down. That's one of the last times in Dallas was years ago when
Kenny Bacon talked like this all the time. Kenny Bacon.
I know,
yeah, he talked like
he-
that.
the martini
like,
glass.
Yeah, you know, we see with him and his wife, and I hung out with Boba Fett, and I thought, well, that'd be kind of Peter Mayhews talk like that all the time, you know. There's
Kenny Bacon.
Peter Mayhew talking like that, and I just thought, just to hang out with these guys, you know, I would like to be a Han Solo, just you know, and hang out. But, I mean, that's all I have.
I did, if you were a Texas actor back in the 90s, you most likely worked on a Walker Texas Ranger, and I
watched the hell out of it.
I worked on a few of them, had the good fortune and whatnot. So I really thought I should have been the Chuck Norris character. Because I thought, you know what, Chuck? You fought Bruce Lee. I mean, yeah, you're ripped, you're a stud, and of course you're gonna win. But if this guy walks out and kicks some butt, that's impressive. Guys, how about a big hand for JJ? My name is John. Please come seat at our tables if you haven't. We'll be here for the rest of the day, and thank you so much for supporting what we do. And there's another great panel, I think, coming up, so stick around and enjoy
Right
the
now,
show.
we're going to a bar.
Right now,
Love
the
you
bar.
guys.